Life show hosted by Frederick Enteman on Global Voice Radio on Fridays at 10 a.m. Eastern. During his show, Mind Body Life founder and best-selling author Frederick Enteman investigates the little-known insights and daily methods used to create explosive life transformations and transitions with those that have risen from struggle and ascended to greatness. Here is your Mind Body Life host, Frederick Enteman.
Welcome to the Mind Body Life show. I'm your host, Frederick Enteman. I'm a former professional athlete, a best-selling author of Surviving Sports, The Game of Life, a coach, a consultant. I help all walks of life, namely professional athletes, create lasting success outside of sports and win the game of life. I want to welcome you to episode 50. This is a big one, 50. This is going to be about your life under construction. And I thought of this as we go into these seasons here, and everyone feels the stress all around them. And the pressure begins, and really before you know it, we're back to the new year. There's a lot of us that are already thinking, oh my gosh, the year's almost come to an end, and I still haven't really accomplished what I set out to do from the beginning of the year. Where does the time go? Blah, blah, blah. A great man named Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "The happiness which we receive from ourselves is greater than which we obtain from our surrounding. The world in which a man lives shapes itself chiefly by the way in which he looks at it." I think everyone really wants to know. I've already done an episode, by the way, on personal chaos, but a question, a very, very common question is really, everyone wants to know what their source or that root of emotional chaos is. What is that exactly? What is the motivation that leads us to desperation, that causes all this anxiety and stress and overwhelm? Well, whether we realize it or not, we're always driven by our psychological constructs. We actually create a construct when we connect a state of mind actually to an external event. And our basic constructs, they revolve around our happiness, our value, our self-acceptance, or security. And to these emotional states, we usually attach the achievement of very special or specific goals, for that matter. We then become driven to attain those goals in order to ensure the desired state of being. And constructs always read according to the format, if A, then B, right? The most common constructs that people engage in concern relationships or, in money, these include, well, I need to be married to be happy. The relationship will make me more valuable and acceptable. Or things will be secure when I have a better job or more money. Now, life will be so much better if I had a partner. So if you listen closely, you can actually see the toxic connections that can be drawn between states of mind and external achievements. Those were just some examples. Unfortunately, engaging in these constructs, even at a subconscious level, can really only result in the formation of the corresponding but opposite negative constructs, such as, I can't be happy unless I'm married, or I'm not valuable and people won't accept me if I'm alone. I'll never be truly secure until I have more money. Their life is miserable without a partner. So these driving assumptions, even if they're unconscious, actually destroy our desires. And as a result, our happiness or unhappiness constructs can determine the very quality of our lives. When we really believe we'll never be happy with out of relationship, or the belief itself is actually so very disturbing that it creates the very misery that we're trying to avoid. So the predominant energy behind this process of construction comes from an attitude of lack, actually. And we create the energy of lack in our lives, not from the reality of our circumstances, but from how we interpret our circumstances. And there are many, many people who constantly focus on the things they're lacking. Yet, to an outside observer, they would appear to have very blessed lives. There are others who may not have very much, yet in spite of what may have been missed from their lives, they rarely concern themselves with what they lack. And instead, they in turn focus on what they have to enjoy. So such an approach is based on an attitude of love and the constant intent to value. I want to talk about lack and love a little bit. Lack and love are really the two basic filters through which we interpret most of our life experiences. Lack is fear-based and actually projects a consciousness filled with a needing and that longing. And an attitude of lack dismisses the present value. And now, love, which is heart-centered, of course, a very powerful energy. Love, on the other hand, it's really an emotion of appreciation, and an attitude of love not only sees the present value, but actively seeks it out in everyday life. So if our lives are filled with constructs such as, I need this to be happy or that to be safe, we're interpreting our experiences as evidence of lack. Does that make sense? However, I might say or add, when we already perceive our lives and ourselves as being full of value, when we're consciously aware of the peace or beauty and leisure and joy, or even the common adventure in life, we are appreciating our experiences. They're evident. There's great evidence of love from the universe, from each other, from ourselves, whatever it may be. But according, if you tune into my last podcast, I mentioned the law of magnetism, and according to the law of magnetism, I want to remind you that which you focus on expands. A lot of people call it the law of attraction, but to each their own, right? So, with this in mind, the following question should really indicate your real focus. So ask yourself these questions. Do you seek to obtain what you lack, or do you seek to enjoy even love what you have? How much of your time do you spend worrying about what's wrong instead of focusing on what's right? If you could change anything in your life, would you change the things that you worry about, or would you change the fact that you worry at all? So look at your answers. Really be reflective. Is the energy of lack the predominant focus in your life? Because it's going to be there after you ask yourself those questions. Is this what you want to expand in your experiences? You also have to look at this and consider, if this is the way things are going, do I want to continue this? There's several basic issues that tend to bring out concerns or of lack in most people. And the most common is money. And it wouldn't, of course, be unnatural for most of us to want more money, of course, but remember that a pure desire doesn't engage in urgency or striving. You can desire more money without feeling you're lacking in what you have. And when you look at your financial situation with desperation, or when you look at another's wealth with envy or resentment, your focus is one of lack. an extension of this particular issue is that the acquisition of material things. Another reason I brought this up in this podcast is we're getting into the holidays. And of course, with the holidays, people automatically feel stress because of material things. And of course, while you'd like to have, plenty of gifts for whomever, most want to have a nicer home, better car, or nicer clothes, fancier clothes. Or when you use these things as a way to value yourself, again, your focus turns to lack, and you are always more than what you possess, even if you could possess the entire world. Okay, some people think that they come up short in the looks department, and they obsess about their weight or their hair or features. List goes on and on. I've coached thousands of people. Okay, and so I've heard it all. And instead of seeing the beauty of their souls, they really focus on the physical things they'd like to change about themselves. So consequently, they always feel unhappy with their appearance. And, intellect is another area where people tend to focus on their deficiencies. They really judge themselves for not being clever or even educated enough. And let's face it, being educated is really a label. I've known plenty of people without college degrees that are multi-millionaires and successful, and I've met a lot of them, and they actually come across as more intellectual or learned than so-called people with PhDs. I've seen it. I've met these type of people. They're everywhere, actually. Anyway, they really worry about what people think about their opinions or insights or work performances or that mental acumen, right? And a sense of humor also is a variation on this issue. Many people think they lack a quick wit and judge themselves for not being spontaneous or funny enough. But the law of paradoxical intent is especially clear when it comes to performance of mind or body. And the more you worry about your performance, whether mental or physical, the more the resulting tension is sure to sabotage the outcome. I want to make that very, very important point. The more you worry about your performance, okay, whether mental or physical, the more resulting tension is sure to sabotage the outcome. Many people feel that they lack that confidence, and they worry about their social skills, often wondering if they've said the right thing or behaved in the right way or acted appropriately in any given situation. So instead of just being themselves, they're always second guessing themselves and worrying about what kind of impression they have left. And, take this friend of mine, for instance. He called me one night and said, I figured out why I have so much trouble dating. I have no social skills. And, I was pretty much speechless, and I'd known this guy for 10 years, and I'd seen him really in every type of social situation, and there's nothing he couldn't handle. Yet when it came to dating or even, approaching women, he felt no confidence, and he'd been harboring this fear, allowing it to make him feel awkward and ill-prepared and tense whenever he went out. And second to money, the thing that most people feel they lack the most, really, when it comes down to it, is love. And they feel that the presence of love is either minimal or totally absent in their lives. It's that void deep down at the root in your heart, and they rarely see its potential in their friends and family. And what's worse, they never acknowledge its presence within themselves. So they really see their lives as empty and destined to be loveless forever. They rarely extend themselves because they're sure that it's useless. And again, the energy of their assumption turns into a self-fulfilled prophecy. The last and most important area where people tend to assume lack is in their personal value. This may not be as apparent as the nagging obsessions about their lack of money or love, but it's just as insidious and far more critical. People often think there's a fundamental lack within their character, that something's missing, which makes them less deserving or less worthy. They've got that going on subconsciously. And this really diminishes them in relation to everyone else. Some people can't pinpoint exactly what it is that they feel this, or why they actually feel this way. It's just there, running in the background. But while others can recite, long lists of precisely what is wrong with them or what's bothering them or what's at the bottom of the situation. So focusing what you don't have in this area is likely to cause the assumption of lack regarding most of the other issues on the list. It's one of the most toxic things you can do to yourself and your magnetic energy, for that matter. Your personal value is an intrinsic part of who you are and cannot be diminished. This must be firmly established if you want to attract more value to your life. So whatever your personal issues are, if your habit is to perceive lack, what do you actually think you're going to magnetize in return? Really? I mean, if your predominant focus is on what you don't have, then the only thing that can expand in your life is actually lack itself. So instead of devoting yourself to the energy of scarcity, you do have the option to focus on love, to appreciate instead of condemn. And you also have the option to interpret your experiences, whatever they may be, with some amount of acceptance and satisfaction. To choose love is to embrace value. A lot of us are not taught that. And if you think of anything or anyone that you've loved, you'll realize that there was a really strong recognition of value there. Think about a pet. It's really amazing. They make you feel warm and fuzzy, right? It's whether it was a certain kind of music or an ice cream or chocolate or your favorite sweater or whatever it may be. When you say, I just love that, what you mean is, I value this. This experience brings joy and appreciation to my life. And when you love a person also, whether it's a spouse or parent or child or friend, you experience the sensation of love because you have a heartfelt recognition of their value in your life. And again, if you haven't checked out heartmath.com, you should, because new studies of the heart and its magnetic resonance and its energy is really amazing. The heart is actually turning out to be more powerful than the brain. So this is, in fact, where love begins, in the recognition and appreciation of value. So you can see how important the issue is. The attitudes of lack and love are vastly, vastly different, and they create vastly different consequences in your life as well. Goes without saying. Love is the intention to appreciate. Lack is the intention to judge. So when you release judgment, you perceive your life with peace. When you hold on to judgment, you perceive only problems. Love trusts in the natural evolution of things and flows through the process of life with faith and flexibility. Lack, it really always has an agenda, has a fighting, abrasiveness approach to life, just striving. It always feels the need to compete or to control and attempt to acquire. Pay attention. But love sees the value in everything. Lack really misses the value in pretty much anything. Love embraces life with acceptance. Lack dismisses, it destroys, and it denies. Love attracts, lack repels. Love really finds. If you're ever in flow, love has a lot to do with that. It just happens, right? Lack never stops seeking. So, which of these approaches would you take? Choose love and you'll focus on all that you already have to value. Choose lack and you'll always be desperate about needing something. So your choice determines your very destiny. This is why it's so important to understand what your predominant focus is all about. And take some awareness. How much valuing or lacking does your mind engage in each day? Spend time keeping track of this. You may be surprised when you find out how just how much energy you devote to the experience of lack. It might shock you, actually. But make sure you do it. Take the action. It's the only way you're going to gain awareness of what's really going on. There's really a reason why so many of us perceive our lives to be full of emptiness. And all it takes is a few basic constructs of lack, really, to expand into an entire network of damaging assumptions. So try to identify your own. And so again, I made a list, and I want to know, which of the following toxic thoughts and relationship constructs do you engage in? Intervene on them whenever they come up, okay? And the cool thing about a podcast is you can always replay this, and you can also download this and have it forever. I have to have this or any relationship to define myself. I'm nothing without it. Someone else must provide me with the approval I need to be happy. I'm not complete as I am. I'm missing something I need. I need to do whatever my partner wants to keep getting their approval. I need to always be on guard to notice changes in my partner's behavior and moods. I have to watch for signs that something is wrong. It's always my responsibility to fix things whenever they go wrong and make sure the relationship is going well. People will think less of me if I'm alone. I will think less of myself if I'm alone. If I lose this relationship, it means there's something wrong with me. If I lose this relationship, I'll never find another one like it. If I haven't had a relationship in a while, there's really something wrong with me. If I don't have a relationship now, I'll never be able to find one. So again, these are just examples. There's many, 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 pretty much unending here, but every single one of these statements is an assumption of lack. That's the point. So they're so clearly devaluing that it's impossible to engender any joy or peace of mind based on your energy, okay? As long as you maintain this line of thinking, you become caught in this bizarre process. You devalue yourself in the present, assuming your only value can come in the future. So this negates your magnetic energy, making it merely impossible to attract that valuable future. You need to stop this vicious cycle of expanding negative energy. So, and everyone usually asks me, how do I stop these thoughts, or there's, attracting things I don't want in my life? In order to change your relationship energy from the desperation or lack to the pure desire of love, you must start with your basic constructs. It doesn't matter how these old beliefs you have come to you, or even how firmly you believe them to be true. You must be willing to change them if you want to manifest more value in your life. You must embrace the following new beliefs and then take action to make them real. So I always create happiness in my life whenever I'm in a relationship or not. You want to say more of the I see my life as full. I look for the value in every experience. I always acknowledge the good things and happy experiences I have in my life. I'm valuable and special just as I am. I don't need a relationship or anything else to determine my value. I'm a whole and complete person in and out, in and of myself. I'm not missing anything I need. I define myself. I don't need anyone else to define me. I'm secure with myself. I'm resourceful and capable in any situation. So those are examples really of beliefs that resonate with a healthy magnetism that can only attract healthy, loving treatment to you. And a willingness to embrace these new loving and valuing mentalities, they're going to open up your heart to the truest experience of love. One that isn't based in lack, and it will not result in a relationship that lacks love either. So it's such new constructs that are absolutely necessary to form the greater network of beliefs that will allow you to release urgency and transform your personal energy. And it's practice. You know, if you could relate more to the negative constructs, because you've been practicing that for years and years and years and years on end, and you've got this neural network that's probably just automatically doing that. So you need to rewire, repractice with the positive constructs that I already mentioned. You know, in addition to how they positively impact your relationships, these new ideas are the source of the self-honoring attitudes that will enrich your life. And I say that because 9 out of 10 clients that come to me want to know how they can have a more joyful, fulfilling, more vital life. That's enrichment, right? Here are about 10 to 15 affirmations to support your new approach as well. If you need some new examples, I wrote down many more that I've accumulated over the years. So some more affirmations of value really are: I take responsibility for my own happiness. I find things to be happy about every single day. You might even want to add after that what you're grateful for, because gratitude connects us with our heart energy. I create a spirit of self-reliance and self-fulfillment in my daily life. I look upon all relationships as ways to enhance my life, not define it. My chosen perceptions are the real source of my happiness. I choose to perceive my life with love and appreciation. I take responsibility for my feelings and needs. I take action in my own behalf. I seek authentic power from within. I release the need to control or acquire. I seek acceptance of myself from within, not acceptance through the approval of others. I believe in myself. I value my integrity and my worth. I create balance in my life. I create joy, happiness, and many smiles a day. I'm strong. I'm honest. I'm confident. And I am forthcoming. I enjoy the present and trust in the future. I enjoy and acknowledge all that I have and do. I create my own destiny. I'm all that I need. I rely on myself. I love my loving energy. So these are all examples. You can even come up with your own. The more you do this, the more you'll get an idea of creating that energy and changing it within yourself. So repeat these new truths and others like them often. You have no idea what kind of hold your old constructs have on you and the power they have to block your desires. It's time to let them go. In addition to letting go of the beliefs, you must also change the behaviors they support, right? So stop looking for everything that's wrong. Stop the chronic complaining and start acknowledging all that you have to be grateful for, and really develop an awareness of what's truly valuable in your life. Express your appreciation often. I personally have a journal. Every single morning, I'm writing down what I'm grateful for. I suggest you do the same. It'll change your life. So my point is, value really is your soul's true legacy. And your choice is to acknowledge life's value in every moment, because it will liberate you from desperation. And it will make every desire pure and every single intention healthy, for that matter. I hope you've enjoyed this episode on really life under construction. That's what I called it. As we head into the holidays here, that's episode 50. If your life's not where you want it to be, if your mind's not where you want it to be, if your body's not where you want it to be, maybe you know a professional athlete that's having major problems. Maybe you know an executive or an entrepreneur that's not happy either and needs some coaching or guidance or mentorship. That's what I'm here for. That's what I do for a living. I've been doing that professionally for over 10 years. Message me, send them my way. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. It's been great. Again, this is Frederick Intiman here. Please tune in for next week's episode. Have a great week. Take care.
Thank you for joining us. Listen every Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern to Frederick Intiman host Mind, Body, Life. Connect with Frederick at www.globalvoiceradio.com. Tune in next week for another edition of Mind, Body, Life on Global Voice Radio.